So good afternoon. So as I was thinking about this meta theme of remaking education and all the great things we were going to do to education to make it more effective and relevant, it dawned on me that in my whole life, education's been remaking me. And it's been my dance partner at every step of the way. It has invited me to come and show up, to take challenges I wouldn't have taken, and to make sure that I'm fully engaged. This act of remaking me has been the catalyst, this education, for each of the stages of life that I've been through and the learning process has taken me on. So now, this dance started early when both my parents were educators, and to them, education was really critical. It was key. My dad was the first in his family to get a college education. He had to fight for it, leave the farm in Oregon, go off. He finally got his doctorate, and so education was everything. I, on the other hand, was a kid in the late 60s. And I, as most kids in the late 60s, didn't see education necessarily as relevant. And I thought that it wasn't answering the deeper questions, the more relevant, the problems in society. And as a result, we had a wee bit of a struggle. So this time, this period of questioning, what is education's relevance, to me it came into focus a bit. When I was about 16 or 17, I read a book, it was a book on Zen, and in it had this line that struck me and it stuck with me. It said, "To know and not to do is not to know." So I went to college. After college, started with this company in Southern California, small retail grocery chain, where I got the chance to work with one of the smartest retail geniuses I've ever known, named Joe Colon, Trader Joe. He had hired me to do a private label program in a way that had never been done. And in the process, over the years, I got to learn a lot of things. I got to get my schooling, so to say, in the practical world that had to deal with innovation. And the fact that innovation really is a team sport. That it's oftentimes iteration more than big bang. That it is those little experiments. It's those Kaizen changes. I'd like to say that Trader Joe's is a company that failed its way to success. That it just kept doing little things and changing. Any of you that actually are customers of Trader Joe's can probably relate to the challenge of going in and not finding your favorite product there. It's the number one complaint. So, after a decade with Trader Joe's, and after learning some really important things, like the fact that every great business is a healthy paranoid, that if you're not worried every day that someone else is going to take care of your customer a little better, with a little better product or service than you, then you're in trouble. And it's that same continuous learning process of staying curious, staying interested, that makes a life interesting. So for me, I woke up one time, about 10 years into a career with Trader Joe's, and went, oh my God, this is my career. I'm a grocer. How did that happen? I thought I'd be a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon or I don't know, something. But I'm a grocer with a degree in history. I at least better go back and get some business education. So Peter Drucker had been a hero of Joe Colon's, and then hence through reading about him had become mine. And Peter Drucker, for those who may not know it, was probably one of the seminal business thinkers in the 20th century, often thought of as the father of management theory. And he was still alive and teaching at the Drucker Institute of Management in Claremont. So I went out there and got my executive MBA with him, and it turned out he was an avid Trader Joe's shopper. And we used to have some wonderfully interesting conversations about what Trader Joe's should and shouldn't be. And I'd say that most of the time I thought he, frankly, didn't quite understand it, that maybe as an academic, he suffered a wee bit from the leisure of the theory class. Over time, I think he's probably been more right than wrong. One of the things Drucker's known for, of course, is the saying, culture eats strategy for lunch. Of course, we now know it doesn't wait that long, it eats it before breakfast. But the other thing that he's known for that has really meant something to me is he would go and give these talks, whether it's in consulting, whether it was with General Motors or it's, Girl Scouts of America, and they'd say, oh, this was great, Peter, this was really wonderful, it's so wonderful to have you here. And I say, don't tell me that. Tell me how Monday morning's gonna be different. What are you gonna do Monday that's gonna make a difference? And he drilled that into me, that information that doesn't lead to a decision is entertainment. So he also taught, and I also learned through Trader Joe's, that it's through pushing on our comfort zone that real growth, real learning occurs. And as they say, if you're living inside your comfort zone, you're taking up too much space. So I had the opportunity after I got my executive MBA to write the business plan on how on earth is Trader Joe's going to grow outside of California. Little did I know when I wrote this wonderful plan, suggesting that we take the company 3,000 miles away to Boston, that I would be the one asked to go do it. So I decided to follow up on that comfort zone thing, move here, and January, February, and March are a real stretch in the comfort zone from a guy from Los Angeles. But in the process, was able to, once again, step into a role of learning, of continuous learning, this time into a role I'd never had before, a role as president, and learning that leadership is about service. So now, this is that stage where after 13 years as president, several of them with Trader Joe's as president of Trader Joe's East, several of them as national president, I had realized through ceaseless travel that it was time to change. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know, have an idea of where or what was next. I just knew it was time to change. So I had taken about a year in this gap when I, like to say, graduated from Trader Joe's, since I flunked retirement completely. I heard about this program at Harvard that was called the Advanced Leadership Initiative. It was a fellowship. And what hooked me was it was going to bring people at the end of their careers back into the learning, the structured learning process of an institution like Harvard, give you the full run of the university and all its colleges, working with faculty and students, in order to tackle a major social ill. And I said, I'm all in. I was ready to do something, I was eager to do something that would be operational again. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I was driving to Harvard back and forth every day, and as I'm driving down Mass Pike, I'm seeing this billboard by Feeding America that says 1 in 6 Americans are hungry. I kept seeing this, and it haunted me. And I kept thinking, we're the richest nation in the history of the world in food production. How on earth can 1 in 6 people be hungry? So I started this process of solutions. And by the way, as we all know, any kind of real systemic problem can't be solved with just some single vector, that it is a collaboration. And in this case, when you're dealing with hunger, it's everything from economics and education and ethics. It's cultural, it's access, it's affordability, it's the whole package. So when I started this process, I started with a lot of answers, I thought, only to discover I was about to come up with something that might have been a really great solution to the wrong problem. Because it turns out that in America, hunger isn't a shortage of calories. It's a shortage of nutrients. That obesity is the face of hunger in America. The other thing that's really stunning, I knew that there was a lot of food that was being wasted, having spent my career in the food industry and traveled all over the world and been to farms, etc. But I didn't know how much. I didn't know that 30 to 40% of all the food that we create in the United States goes to waste. So the idea was, how can we take one problem and solve the other with it? So I opened something called Daily Table. There's 2 of them now here in the inner city of Boston. And we are basically a hunger relief, nonprofit, retail store that brings affordable nutrition to the food insecure. We're a membership store. IRS requires that. Anyone's welcome. Everyone can shop there. If Warren Buffett or Bill Gates want to come down, they're welcome, because we predominantly serve people in the community that are economically challenged. Now, tremendous learnings have come from that. I got to say, this is something that has kicked my ass every day. It's difficult. It's messy. And yet, it's meaningful. It's profoundly meaningful. Because as one of the learnings I've taken is I've come to know that this continuous education is one that everyone, all of us in life, are in the process of living. And it doesn't matter if you have a formal education. We hire from the community. Our 61 employees are primarily from the community. They care about their kids. They care about their future. They're smart. They are intelligent, creative, caring people. What keeps me going is the fact that our customers, our team, care so much about their own community, and they don't want to hand out, they want to hand up. So we have a customer, for instance, I'll just tell one story about a customer that came in the other day and said, "Hey, I want to let you know I've been shopping here since the day you opened. I've now lost 75 pounds. More importantly, I've been off my diabetic medication for a year. My doctors at Common Square Health Center say, you've got your life back." So when I think about education, when I think about learning, this is a dance that doesn't have a calendar limit. This is one where whether you're an old Doug learning new tricks or you're a brand new student, like the amazing, profound story we heard from Antonio this morning, that it applies to all of us. Archimedes, the discoverer of the principle of leverage, is reported to have said, "Give me a place to stand and I shall move the earth." I believe education invites me and invites all of us to find that place to stand and then to make some small way to move the world. Thank you.